Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm not feeling too well. I hurt my leg the other day, and I think I did a little bit too much today, so I'm not exactly in the video making mood at the moment. So today I wanted to go over this article that a lot of you have been sending me. It says John Deere fails to uphold right to repair agreement signed in 2018. In September 2018, the Equipment Dealers Association signed an agreement with John Deere, in which the company would begin voluntarily making repair tools, software guides, and diagnostic equipment available for ordinary farmers to purpose beginning January 1st, 2021. We're now well over 2 months into 2021, and as a new report details, John Deere isn't keeping up its end of the bargain. Surprise, surprise! Now, as I've always said on this channel, I talk a lot about Apple because I'm a repair shop that fixes Apple products, so I can talk about it. A lot of people will respond and say, just stop buying Apple products and the problem is solved. That's adorable. This is something that affects people in the automotive industry. It affects people that work in agriculture. It affects people in the military. It affects people in consumer electronics. I think it was L. Ekman that did an article for the New York Times on how right to repair is an issue in the Marine Corps. This is something that's, I see it as a virus that's spreading throughout our culture. And one thing I wanted to make mention of here is the Equipment Dealers Association, before we continue with the article. If you are a farmer and you want to fix your own tractor, they're not your friend. I went over this in a video I did about a week or 2 weeks ago. Proposed amendments to right to repair, fair repair legislation. This was from the EDA. I'm not going to say who sent me this document because I appreciate your confidentiality. Thank you for sharing. But this document over here goes over all their proposed amendments to the Right to Repair Act. And just when you read this, you know that anything that they signed with John Deere has to be bullshit. Because they pretty much say, okay, fine, listen, we're okay with the bill as long as you throw out anything that mentions tractors or actually fixing anything. It would be like if I said, I have no problem having this adorable kitty in my lap. I love kitties. I just hate animals with whiskers. I hate animals with fangs. I hate animals that have 4 paws. I hate animals with fur. But I have no problem with the kitty. I'm sorry, Blackberry. I didn't mean it, girl. I was kidding. I was kidding for the camera. But that's the way that this was written. So if you read through this, the proposed amendments to right to repair, fair repair legislation over here, that's from the EDA, you would understand as a farmer that they are not your friend. It was not a surprise to anybody that when they read this, that this was going to wind up being a pile of BS. But let's continue on the article. The purpose of the agreement between John Deere and the EDA was to deal with the increasingly onerous software lockouts John Deere baked into its tractors. Farmers have been increasingly forced to visit a John Deere dealership for even trivial repairs because one simple replacements now require dealer-authorized equipment to authenticate the hardware. The deal with the EDA took the pressure off of states to pass right to repair legislation. At the time, Extreme Tech characterized it as throwing farmers under the bus because of numerous structural deficiencies, which is actually an excellent way to characterize it. But those deficiencies, like a failure to define the need for fair and reasonable pricing on spare parts, or the need for purchasable spare parts at all, are less important here. The problem isn't that John Deere is balked at implementing part of the agreement. It's that John Deere apparently hasn't lifted a finger to implement it. Both Vice and the U.S. Public Interest Research Group recently followed up on how the rollout of this information has gone. Kevin O'Reilly of U.S. PIRG called 12 John Deere dealerships across 6 states. He reports, of those, 11 told me they don't sell diagnostic software, and the last one gave me an email of someone to ask for the tools. I sent an email 2 days ago, and I haven't heard anything back. Vice then performed its own survey, calling 9 different dealerships in 7 different states outside of California and 3 inside of it. One California dealership offered to try and help with the problem. The 2 others immediately stated no such information or manuals were available. None of the other 9 had access to offer or product to sell, nor information regarding when either would be made available. John Deere industry trade groups insist solution is fixed. According to John Deere and the Association of Equipment Manufacturers, a major industry lobbying group, there's absolutely nothing wrong. Surprise, surprise. The lobbyist says that we're just making it up. The professional lobbyists in this industry, in my opinion, are complete and total gaslighters. The AEM claims comprehensive repair and diagnostic information is now available for the mass majority of the tractor and combine market through authorized dealers. I would pay for a reality show where they were forced to actually try and get the information that they are claiming is available. It would be awesome if a senator said, okay, you agreed that you're not going to perjure yourself here, right? You agreed you're going to tell the truth. Okay, cool. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to find me the equipment and the tools or the software or the parts that you claim are available. If you're able to get them by the end of the day or even by the end of the week, and you can show me how you got them, produce the phone calls, the video, video of you showing up to a dealer and being able to buy it, then you're good. But if not, you're going to jail. That would be kind of funny. That would be kind of interesting. I'm not saying that's what should happen. I'm just saying that every now and then I have a little bit of a fever dream about it. When U.S. Perg asked AEM to provide even one example of a company actually making this information available, the trade group failed to respond because they're full of shit. At a right to repair meeting with the Florida Farm Bureau, John Deere customer support manager Aaron Vance made the following public comments. Many of these manufacturers, ourselves included, we provide diagnostic tools, repair manuals, parts, diagnostic and repair information for you. The producer has always been around. You've always had parts. You've always been able to get manuals, paper, and such. He said, you have the right to repair your own equipment. There is very little evidence to support this claim. Particularly the always had parts, had always been able to get the manuals portions. Vice located one farmer in Montana, Walter Sweetser, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, whose dealership agreed to provide him with software, equipment, and training to upkeep his tractor for $8,000. His story appears to be virtually unique. There are up to 125 sensors in a John Deere tractor, and an error code on any one of them can put a device in a limp mode, where it can be driven, but not otherwise operated. It can take up to a month for a piece of equipment to get a simple error code cleared, and it can cost a great deal of money. According to a Missouri farmer, Jared Wilson, he lost tens of thousands of dollars in income one season because it took 32 days for the dealer to repair a mechanical valve that failed on his fertilizer spreader. Had he been able to access the parts and diagnostic tools he needed, he believes he would have been able to perform the work himself. Now, whether or not you believe you can perform the work yourself, admittedly, I have a lot of customers that say, I would do this myself, I just don't have X. And when I say, okay, cool, I'll let you do it yourself for free, if you can use my desk, they all go, oh, no, never mind, I'll pay you. Because usually, they'll complain, oh, $250, why is this $250? And I would just do this myself, I just need this. And I go, okay, cool, my desk is over here. So I honestly just do this for my own personal entertainment. If they're able to do it on their own, I will hold them to the fact that I said I would allow them to use my desk for free. By all means, go ahead. They never take me up on it because they can't do it. So I understand the frustration there. At the same time, the dealer taking 32 days, that is a shit option. And that's, I just don't have anything to say there. Again, have I been at a point where I've been backed up? Absolutely. I've been at a point where I've been backed up in the past. I also show people how to do all the stuff that I do, and I'm not the only one that's able to do the work that I do. You have options, which is the key issue here, the lack of options. No one wants access to John Deere's software so they can steal source code or muck with emission sensors. The farmers that have gone looking for ACK software available aren't trying to monetize John Deere's intellectual property. They're trying to clear error codes and regain the ability to fix simple problems. Right to repair is an issue that affects almost everyone. And while manufacturers from Apple to John Deere have tried to make it an issue of security and IP protection, this is actually about holding on to the income stream that a repair monopoly represents. It's rent-seeking behavior, not an actual benefit to farmers or their customers, otherwise known as people who eat. Farmers who in farming communities do not presently appear to have access to the diagnostic software and manuals that John Deere previously promised to make available, and the deficiency is not limited to a single state or regional area. Back in 2018, John Deere boasted that this agreement meant right to repair legislation wasn't necessary. 3 years later, the company is demonstrating just how necessary it is by failing to abide in its own voluntary commitments. An update, an earlier version of the story, misstated his location, Missouri, not Kansas. Okay. Now, one of the things that I think is important here is it actually is a parallel to what Apple did recently. So they released this thing called the Independent Repair Program. And a lot of you said that I was an idiot for saying thank you, Apple, for releasing the Independent Repair Program. Because I thought that, maybe this will be a good thing. Maybe I should be thanking Apple for the fact that they put together a program for independent repair centers. And what I went over in subsequent videos is that it's a complete pile of shit. And I also read experiences from people who were in the program. So the TLDR of these videos that I did on the program, one of them. This is the dumb video I did where I said thank you, Apple, for doing a good thing. Back when I was stupid enough to believe that they actually would do a fucking good thing. This is one thing that drives me nuts, by the way, because I get so much shit from people on r/Apple saying you never say a good thing about them. And see, the problem that I have is the one time I do say something nice or good, they make me look like a fucking idiot to my audience for. The one time I'll say, okay, they're putting out an olive branch trying to do something good, I get ripped apart, rightfully so, for the fact that I actually take them at face value. They released an independent repair program For several of the devices, the price that they wanted for a screen was more than the actual cost of the device. You need to have the customer give you all of their information, and then you need to order the part. When this program came out, I shit you not, if you came into my store and said, I want a battery, I can't stock the battery. I wasn't allowed to stock the effing battery. I would have to take your information, then order it, then wait several days for the battery to arrive, and then have it call you back. Now, I would be paying for the battery very close to the price that I'm allowed to charge you for the service. I only get that money back when I send them the battery back, and God forbid you had your battery replaced by somebody else and it wasn't an authentic Apple battery in your phone, I may have just lost money offering you that repair. It doesn't give me access to headphone jacks, charge ports, volume buttons, power buttons, chipsets, anything for MacBooks at all. This was the most useless program in existence when it came out, and I would argue today, even if they have made certain updates and changes to it, that it's still fairly useless. I cannot buy a CD3217. I cannot buy a schematic or a board view. I cannot buy access to any of the things that I need to do my job. It's genuinely worthless. What the program does is it allows them to tell regulators, look, we solved the problem. You don't need to solve it. Look, see, independent repair provider program. They can sign up if they meet the requirements. So why are these repair shops bitching? Come on, they just want to complain. And the reality is that they're not able to get access to anything. And this is the thing that drives me nuts. And this is why I'm saying that the lobbyists in this case are gaslighters. Like when they say the AEM claims that all of this stuff is now available for the majority of the tractor and combine market through the dealer. And then when Perg said, can you provide one example, they never responded. They didn't say provide a bunch of examples. They didn't say provide a specific example of a specific chip or a specific piece of software. They just said provide one example, like one example. And they can't. And the reason they can't is because what they do is they read from a script that their masters tell them to read from. Like, when I go to these hearings and you see it for yourself, it's not like they are speaking from knowledge. They're not speaking from principles. They're not speaking from firsthand experience. They have a piece of paper in front of them, and they are doing their best to read from the paper without screwing up. And oftentimes they'll screw up reading from the paper because they're very, very nervous. And the reason they're very, very nervous is because they know that what they're saying is bullshit, and they're likely afraid of the consequences of speaking bullshit. I probably would be too. If you hand me a sheet of paper and say, just read this, and it's about an industry that I know nothing about whatsoever, and there's a lot of aggravated people after I speak on a regular basis, it's probably because what I'm saying is bullshit. And if I don't even have knowledge of why what I'm saying is bullshit, I'm probably going to be nervous while I'm reading it. This is not surprising at all. And it's one of the reasons that I'm really happy, as I mentioned in a prior video, that one of the people who laughed at us 4 years ago during the last Nebraska right to repair bill was actually voted out of office. I went over this in this Karma video. She was voted out of office, and the person who replaced her is a farmer who actually sponsored the right to repair bill, which is having a hearing on it tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. I will leave a link down below for anybody who's actually interested in waking up that early and showing up. And but I think the real takeaway from this video two takeaways would be A, when the manufacturer says that they have fixed a problem or they come up with some sort of program that magically fixes all the issues that you have, be doubtful that that's the case until you have evidence that it's not. I was really, really excited when I heard about that independent repair provider program. Even if it wasn't everything I wanted, I thought it would be a step in the right direction. It wasn't until later that I realized that there's genuinely nothing in it that's usable. That program literally exists just so that they could say, look Congress, look senators, look, see, we have a program. When in reality it doesn't do anything. Be skeptical about it. And also, the Equipment Dealers Association, the EDA, they're not your friends. When you read this document and you hear them, this news article, and you hear them say that they were negotiating with the EDA, one of the things that I think you need to understand and realize is... shut up, asshole. One of the things that I think you need to understand and realize here is that they literally created a list of amendments to the bill that says we would support it as long as you just get rid of any mention of a tractor, combine, any sort of farm equipment whatsoever, requirements of anything to do with our industry. They're laughing at you. They're laughing. They're laughing a lot. And again, it's about time that we stop or cease this laughing. And the way we're going to cease this laughing is by showing up and letting our politicians know that it's about time that they actually listen to us. Hopefully people show up to that hearing. Hopefully people email these senators and representatives that I mentioned in the pinned comment in the description. Hopefully people make their voices heard. I really hope that they do, and just let them know, listen, man, I know that you're used to the fact that most people are cynical and not involved in politics and don't vote in their local elections. This one's different. If you screw us, we're voting you all out. We're voting new people in that actually listen to us. Things are going to be different this time. This is not like the presidential election where I vote once every 4 or 8 years. I'm actually going to vote in this one, and I am going to make sure that if you screw us, that you're gone. We'll see. That's it for today. As always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.